Welcome then. Jacko here from the School of Calisthenics, and today we are doing a lower body session. We are looking at shrimp squats, which are going to challenge a number of things. It's going to challenge our mobility, it's going to challenge our stability, and it's also going to challenge our strength, and particularly that strength on a single leg. There's a lot of good work to be done on single leg for our lower body work. If you don't do much single leg work, single leg squats, lunge patterns, this is something that we should be having in our training. It's very good for our balance, it's for our stability, and also you can do stuff on two legs and get strong, but it doesn't always transcend to that ability to be able to do stuff on one leg. And then certain things that we do in life, like running, are single leg exercises effectively. So if we get good on one leg on its own, we know that carries over to stuff on two legs very well as well. And also using our body weight on just one leg means that the sort of strength demands can start to go up, and we're going to play around with challenging depth and range of motion here. So there's a couple of things we need to do in terms of our warm-up to get ourselves prepared in our movement preparation. We need to look at ankle mobility, particularly getting into dorsiflexion, so that's being able to come forward, get the knee over those toes. We need to look at the hip mobility to be able to get in a deep shrimp squat position, and that's also going to, on the leg that we're standing on, but it's also the back leg is also going to get challenged quite considerably around the hip flexor. If you're tight around the hip flexors from too much sitting, etc., then you're going to find out about it here. And then also, obviously, the strength and stability to be able to get out of that position. So the shrimp squat, people know what a shrimp squat is. Seen one before. I'll show us one here. So you go up and you hold the back leg, and then you're squatting down on this front leg until your knee touches the floor, and then we're coming straight back up. That's basically our shrimp squat that we're going to work up towards today. So power socks, yes. How do you forget it? So much. I've just got to go into right. So first things first. There's our shrimp squat. Second thing, what's your sock game like? Okay. Well, let's go, people. Let's go, people. Yeah, exactly. So this is what my sock game is looking at today. Gone old school. These are the original power socks I had. You know they're good because they've got Panthers on them. Must be good because it's got Panthers on. It makes up for, this is called lockdown hair. It's making up for lockdown hair. Right, so yeah, get your power socks on. If you've got white socks on, get them out of here. No white socks up in here. Someone asked the other day, what's your problem with white socks? I was like, problem with white socks? Come on, pal, don't answer that question. That question answers itself. Okay, so socks up high. First thing we're going to do, we're going to prepare for these shrimp squats then. We're going to prepare for our shrimp squats. Yeah, so we're going to do, just initially, for the ankle, some ankle rolls. So I'm going to tilt the ankle to the outside. So I'm just going to roll it to the outside, just trying to open it up. Think about opening up this space on the outside of your ankle there. So I'm just going to roll out, and then I'm going to add in a twist. Roll out, add in a twist. Don't force it. But I'm just rolling the ankle to the outside and adding that twist. You should feel a stretch down the outside, down here, down the outside of that ankle. And you're going to be like looking down and be like, oh yeah. Look at them sexy socks. Those socks make me feel so powerful, so aggressively colourful, and there's flames. There's not only Panthers, there's flames on them. Other leg, turn to the outside, rotate a little bit. Or you can just do a few rolls initially, just get used to it, and then that little bit of rotation is going to add in that stretch or opening up at the outside of that joint. So we're just doing a few on each side. This is what feels good. If your ankle's tight on this, you can't get, so dorsiflexion is the knee, being able to come over the toe in that shape. When you get to that bottom position here, you're going to be holding on to the leg. If you can't create that dorsiflexion, that knee coming over in front of the toe, you're going to really struggle to be able to get into the right sort of depth for this. So just a couple more of those. Good. And then one way you're going to turn your foot to the side, and then you're just going to rock it, that heel down. And again, this is just the same sort of thing, but just a little bit more intense. It's just opening up the outside of that ankle. Don't sort of like jam it or force it or anything. We're just trying to encourage that ankle. Rather, before we get into anything around the actual around your calf, if your calf's tight, it's obviously going to affect being able to go into the calf plantar flexors, pushes down. So if that's tight, it's going to affect our dorsiflexion, whereas we're going to want to just open up and just mobilize the joint itself a little bit, the ankle joint, and then we're going to look at this dorsiflexion position. So come down onto the kneeling position. You're going to make sure that the heel stays down at all time, and we're going to just encourage that knee forwards. Just rock into that position. Don't let the heel come up, but at least now we're already in that type of lunge type of shape. So coming through, forward, heel stays down, and then once, as well as coming in and out, I just want you to explore a little bit side to side, a little bit of rotational patterns. Just, does it feel jammy up at the front there? But can you just get a little bit of movement going? It might be that you want to use your hands for balance. You might just want to encourage a little bit with your hand on the knee. But your job is to explore getting further over that toe. We'll swap sides. The back knee is down, heel stays down, and we're just trying to encourage that knee further over the toes. Check them socks out. Check them socks out. It might be you want to do some specific work on your calves, etc. And you might want to do some specific work on your hips. Obviously, we've got programs for all that inside the virtual classroom. The lower body foundations covers loosening up your calves for your ankles, your quads, hamstrings for your hips. We've also got a couple of follow-alongs on the YouTube channel as well. Okay, so that should feel, stand back up, gives a few like circles for your ankles. That should feel a little bit freer than it did before. And then, good, we're just going to drop into a overhead squat position just to see how that feels on the ankles when getting down to the bottom of that squat. So hands go above your head, you drop down into the bottom of your squat position, come back up. We haven't done anything on the hips yet, so hips might feel a little bit junky or a little bit tight. We're going to work on those now. So the first one I really love to try and massage the back of the hip is going to be a kneeling position like this. You're going to take your, to do your right hip, we're going to take your left knee over and behind it, and then you're trying to just sit into the bottom of that position. You're just going to sort of, it looks a bit like sort of some weird sexy time going on. You tie yourself in a bit of a knot, but it is good for mobilizing out in the hip. So what that looks like, side arm. So our front arm, look, that leg's across, and then working into this right hip, sitting back into that hip, and I'm feeling basically the head of my femur, that big thigh bone is going up, and I'm almost using gravity to help massage the back of that hip capsule. For a standing leg in this shrimp squat, I'm going to want this guy to be able to get into a nice deep position there. And we'll swap over. So I'm going to do the left hip now. So I'll take the right knee over and sit back into that. So let's go side on. So right knee across. You can explore what it's like bringing that left foot further up, and now sitting into that left hip. Maybe I rotate a little bit. You just explore what feels tight for you, but you're trying to take all the weight on the hip that you're trying to mobilize. So I'm now mobilizing my left hip as well at the back here. So I'm not really taking much weight at all through the right leg. I'm just looking at what we're doing at this, addressing the sort of joint tightness in the hip first, just like we did with the calf. Nice. Great. So next up, then looking at a big player on this shrimp squat is hip flexors. A lot of us will have tight hip flexors from a lot of time spent sitting and just getting good at being in this flex position rather than being able to stay open or in an extended position at the hip. So hip extension, leg going behind you, all that posterior chain. That's all getting switched off when these guys are getting tight at the front. So the shrimp squat is a great one for just checking in with what's your single leg squat pattern like, but how tight your hip flexors. So we're going to go into this kneeling lunge position. I want you to untuck your toes, so don't get your toes in like that. Check out those socks. Boom. Blow them down flat. And then in this shape, I want us to get out of this anterior tilt. So where we've got like a, I'll show you with my back, rather than my back being arched and sticking my bum back. That's when the hip flexors are tight on the front. They're pulling the pelvis at the front downwards and tilting us this way. What I want us to do is pull underneath. So tuck underneath, suck your belly button in. Try and almost think about pulling your hips at the front upwards and tilting that position. And there you'll be able to squeeze and get that bum on. When you squeeze and get that bum on, check this tight. You can hear that. That's rock solid, baby. Yeah, so rather than look, all flabby. No, squeeze it tight. Get it in there. Right, so once that's squeezed tight, you should then feel the stretch on the front accentuate a little bit more. It's going to intensify a little bit. Okay? I want you then also to reach up a little bit and you'll feel it then go all the way through. And we're going to hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then relax. Okay? So we're going to add in another one now. And this is going to be, as well as tilting the pelvis underneath, so let's look at some of the hip flexors. Rectus femoris is a hip flexor, but also a knee extender. So when we can activate him by trying to push our foot down into the floor. This is a guy that's going to get really tight as well. So I'm not only now tilting the pelvis underneath and squeezing tight, maintaining a nice straight line here, rather than bent line. So tucked underneath, bum squeeze tight, nice straight line. Push the foot into the floor as well when you reach up. So squeeze bum, push foot into the floor. We're going to go for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, and then relax. So it's a little bit of what you call PNF stretching. So I'm trying to activate. So 2 things: bum is squeezed underneath. I'm pushing that hip extensor, the glute, on to try and accentuate that stretch here. And I'm also actively pushing the foot down that way into the ground. We can up this a little bit. I've got a couple of options for you. You can raise the foot up at the back. So that might be, I've got a phone on you can put your back foot on anything, and then you're going to feel how this stretch is intensified again. So you're tucking underneath, squeezing your bum, and pushing your foot down into the floor, or into the whatever it's raised up on. Reaching up, so for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So you're squeezing that whole time. If you can, or if you haven't got one of those, what's nice to do is actually start to get into the shape we're going to be in the bottom of our shrimp squat. So hold in something to balance on. If you're a badass like me, you don't need balance. It's not that you don't need balance. You don't need something to help you balance. So trying to create that nice line from shoulder to hip. It's going to be a slight diagonal when we get into the bottom of our shrimp squat. So we're trying to replicate that. So bum tucked underneath rather than sticking back. So push the bum underneath, squeeze the bum, and then push down into your hand, but resist with your hand for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. And here, when you relax, you should be able to, boom, look at that. You pull that a bit further. Can you grab with the other arm? If you can't grab with the arm, just stay where you were. But pulling that in there. Now again, squeeze, last one on this side. Squeeze the bum underneath. Push into your hands. 5, 7, 6, squeeze, 5, squeeze, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax, and then just pull that up. We'll swap sides, and we'll turn over so you can see this on the other side. So we'll go through the same thing again. We should know what we're doing this time. Adjust those socks. Nice straight line. Sucking bum underneath, squeezing it tight, pushing foot into the floor for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And then put your foot up on something where you can grab your foot. Same thing. Nice straight line, not bent. Push the hip forward. Tuck the pelvis underneath. Squeeze the bum and push that into the hand. For 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. When you relax, you're going to push through. Grab with the other arm if you can, or stay on the same one. Tuck the pelvis underneath, squeeze the bum, push the hand for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, squeeze, 1, and relax. There you go, look at that baby. Okay, So we may have loosened things off a little bit there, which is great, but then we also need to make sure that we're sort of strengthening through these shapes. And that's one of the nice things about the shrimp squat is you're going to get strong at maintaining that position rather than just stretching in it. And you're going to get strong in getting into this deep position of this lunge. So go back to our overhead squat. Hips should feel, just shaking on a little bit if you want it, but hips should feel a little bit looser. Hip flexors certainly should, quads should, ankles as well should be feeling good. Go into our overhead squat. What does it feel like compared to before? Boom, that feels nice. And drop down to the bottom of there now. Might want to play about in the bottom of this position a little bit if you like to, but generally that should start to feel a little bit looser and a little bit better. How are people feeling? How are people feeling? Let me know in the comments. Body feeling good after that? So we'll look through some comments and then we'll get into some of these progressions to get a little bit stronger. So hips feeling better now as a result of that. And anyone sort of the master of the shrimp squat yet already? So yeah, some people are a bit saying they're a bit tighter on one side than the other. So this is a great reason. So for me, in terms of my experience with like being tight and stuff from when I finished playing rugby, if you just tell me to stretch my hip flexors, I don't do it and I get bored. And also the brain has got no reason because I then go and sit down again for whatever else I'm doing during the day, the computer or whatever. Whereas having something like a movement goal, like a shrimp squat, go, right, I want to get better at my shrimp squats. I'm then automatically going to be focusing on opening up my hips and strengthening in those positions. And when I'm doing my actual shrimp squat training, I'm making sure that they're staying loose and staying strong. So I get much more lasting change. Like it's a real benefit to having a purpose to our training and our movement for trying to learn something rather than just trying to loosen up your hip flexors because you know that they feel tight. It's also going to teach you and expose where you are tight or not. Separate side note, anyone else struggling with lockdown hair? I know a lot of people just shaving it off. I can't do that. Girls, you can't just shave it off, surely. So I'm taking that approach. So just growing it potentially. I'm liking these bits, they're just flicking out the side. I think it's cool. Right, let's get into then what does some of these progressions look like. So firstly, want to go into, I just want you to show me what your lunge position looks like. So we're going to go from standing, I'm going to go knee up and show you some balance. And then I'm going to step forward, I'm going to control down, and then I'm going to drive back up. And then swap sides, knee up, control myself down, knee touches, drive back up. And what you should feel, keep swapping over, what you should feel when you come down, try and do exactly what we were doing. So don't break out here, keep them ribs down, keep that bum tucked underneath, squeeze that back bum. As you go down, you should feel that stretch on that back side and come up. So on that front hip, I say back side with the back leg. Other leg, come through, come down, maintain that good shape, drive back up, one more each side. So this nice tall position, bum squeezed on, come through, tuck bum underneath, keep this engaged as I come down, maintain that nice straight line, shoulder, hip, knee in one line, drive back up, last one, come through, down. Now we're down, we're going to stay down. What I want you to do is I want you to untuck your back legs, so the toes on your beautiful socks. So you've got white socks, get them gone. They shouldn't be on by now, we've already warned you. There's no way you're going to be able to shrimp squat in white socks. Fact. It's a fact. Right, so back toes untucked. I'm going to come here, and then now what we need to start doing is loading up this front leg. So before, when you push back, you're just like pushing back out of that shape. This time, what you're going to do is you're untucking those back toes, and then you're going to stay nice and tall. You're going to lean forwards, take more weight on this front side. So rather than being here, lean forward, not sticking the bum out to come forward, sink into that front hip, and then from there, you're going to stand up. Okay? Swap sides, so come down, untuck those back toes, Stay in a nice position, sink into that front hip. So don't lean forward and leave your weight distributed here. I want you to sink into that front hip, load this front side, and then from there, stand up. And get used to balancing and being okay on one leg. Do a couple more on each side. So I'm here, toes are untucked, leaning forward into this hip, and then drive back up. Other one, toes untucked, not leaning, sinking into that front hip, load this front side, drive back up. One thing to think about that's really important, if we're doing any single leg squatting exercises, so I'm coming down into here, or lunging, same type of thing, I want to make sure this knee stays in line with these toes. When I'm doing a single leg squat, I don't want to see this like screwing position where that knee starts to come inside of those toes. You'll see the foot rolls as well. I want to maintain this knee with those toes, whether we're lunging, single leg squatting, cluster squatting, shrimp squatting, whatever you're doing. So I'm going to show you a side angle for most of this stuff because it's most useful for seeing the shrimp squat. But what I don't want to see is you at the bottom of your shrimp squat holding that leg and your knee like somewhere over here like this going, yeah, Jacko, you're going to try and come up. When you come up, you're right going, oh, my groin and inside of my knee's killing me. But you're starting in this type of shape. Or you're driving up and then boom, you come up in that position. That's not going to be good for either your hip or your knee. You can see that. I'm over exaggerating it, but that knee will want to try and dive in potentially to pick or tight inside the front, or inside of those adductors. Okay? How we doing? We're following along. Right, so now we need to start cranking it up a little bit. So, where we just were, toes were untucked. This time, toes untucked, and then sinking into that front hip. And what we're going to try and do is lift that toe a tiny bit and stand up. Boom. That was good, right? You're going to try that, you're going to be like, that felt a bit, that feels a bit, it's a hell of a lot harder, because all of a sudden you're not pushed off that back leg. So you must make sure, so others can swap sides, untuck those toes, lean, so don't just drop forward. I want you to sink into that hip. That's so key for now loading up this front leg. Toes, you just shook myself. Toes come up off the floor and drive yourself up. Swap sides. Sink into that front hip, pull the toes up, drive up. Come down, sink into that front hip, toes up, drive up. That's my worst side. I feel like I'm on the sit flexors and I did a crap rep the one before. So there, drive up, good. Come down, and tuck those toes, sink into that front hip, really load that side up. There you go, that's better. You've got to make sure we get over that. Do one more inside, got to get over this front leg. Remember, get working on your balance still whenever you can. So the toes are up, getting into this front hip. Good. How's that feel? We're getting close now. If you can follow that far, you're going to be onto good things. Now, if you're struggling a little bit, a couple of things that are going to be able to help. Having something to raise your heel on. So all we might do is take, where's it gone? It's back. Take a little like weight, or a little disc or a book or something, and if you put that down and had your heel on the front leg on that, you'll find that you'll be able to get out of that position easier, because that is just effectively going to give you some, it's like giving you a bit of fake dorsiflexion. So you can always try and raise that back, so that front heel up. And it might be that progression there that we've just done, that might be as far as you get today. So you can keep working through that as we go into some of these other shapes. Okay? Because all we essentially now need to do is, we've just got to bring in the back arm to be able to hold that leg. What we're going to do first is, rather than just going, right, just hold that leg and now I'm going to come up. No, We're going to break it down, as we always do with all of our movements and all of our progressions. Break it down so we can piece it together one bit at a time. So we're going to use a tool from Locker, and we're going to use the Eccentric tool. That means we're going to do the full thing, so we are going to hold the leg now, but we're going to just do the downward phase. We can produce 1.4 times, so the research literature says, around 1.4 times much force on an eccentric. So you'll be able to control yourself down better than you will be able to come back up. So doing the downward phase is easier to do that first, so why wouldn't we do that first? The other great thing about eccentrics is it allows us to have to work through that whole entire range, so we're going to be able to control this. Now, the benefit for you, if you can control the down phase, you know what happens? You don't bang your knee on the floor. Now, if you don't control the down phase, you're potentially going to bang your knee on the floor. So, down nice and slow. Maybe you put a cushion down or something underneath where that back knee is going to go, just to make sure that you don't bang it down onto the floor. So, we're going to go on one leg, hold that back leg, and then our job is, you use the other hand for counterbalance. Our job is to sink. Remember, just like we were on the way up before, we're going to sink and use and load this front leg, control all the way down to the floor, let it go down, and then stand back up. Swap sides. We want to try and do a 5-second eccentric. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Control down, back up. Same thing again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back up. One more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh. Back up. Watch your balance. Jacko. One more on each side. Ooh. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Control down. That's a better rep. One more. This is the last one. This side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Control down. Back up. Great. So you should feel how we're working. We've just done 3 sets of 3 reps on each side of eccentrics that you're going to be working. You can feel that your hip flexors are starting to work on that leg that is behind you, working pretty hard to maintain that position. And then the standing leg is working. We're getting into some nice depth, and it's definitely working hard on that. So a couple of people commenting that they're feeling good on one side and bad on the other. Smeghead 420 on YouTube says, boom, easy, he's just smashed it. Melissa is saying that right side is okay, but the left side, it's not happening. So think of what's happening here. You're starting to learn a little. You may have known this or didn't know this, that your body could do it on one side and not the other. You're starting to understand what are some of your restrictions. So like, I know, a good example for me, I know my left hip is tighter, but my right ankle is tighter. So something like a pistol squat, I find better on my left because it requires, because I get to use the good ankle range I've got in it, but my right side is better at this shrimp squat when I'm standing on my right leg, because that hip is a little bit better and I can get away with the ankle being not quite as good. But it starts to give you some areas to pinpoint, left and right, of areas of tightness or weakness or strength that you want to work on. So anyone, as a couple of people said, anyone finding it difficult, just remember you can raise that front on the front foot, put a little bit of a wedge underneath that front heel, and you can just work through some of those lunge progressions. Don't worry that you have to, don't have to hold the back leg. That's going to be something that's going to come into play once you've released those hip flexors. And I think if you're really finding this difficult, I would definitely recommend a couple of things. One, the prep work we did at the beginning on those hip flexors, to have them as part of it could be part of a bit of a daily practice, but certainly any time that you're warming up for your sessions to take the time to do some work on those hip flexors, and then work through some of those strength progressions from lunge patterns. So start getting some more lunge patterns into your training. Okay, let's look at the last thing then would be, just before the grand final about doing your full one, we're just going to look at some partial rep ranges. So rather than go all the way down to the bottom, we're going to go down, and we are going to come back up, but we're not going to worry about going down onto the floor. So just a little bit of partial range before you go for the full thing, just as a way to build it up. So we've done the full eccentric, so we know we've got control all the way down. We haven't done anything fully getting up whilst we're holding the leg behind us. So let's do the upward phase, but not worry too much about how far we get down. So just get used to this new pattern of coming down and controlling up. We're going to do 3 on each side. So I've got no dead time where the knee is resting on the floor. I'm controlling that range. Yeah? Other side. 1. Control down. 2. 3. Good. So once that feels good, it means quads are starting to get a bit tasty. So no mouth breathing, yes. These we're coming through those. Problem is when you're speaking, it's very difficult to not breathe through your mouth when you're speaking. Final stage. Yeah, so Claire saying that looking down is easy for the balance. Yeah, thing with balance is it's like pick something in front of you. It might be slightly diagonally down on the floor, but have a focal point. That's the main thing. Whether it's directly something in front of you on the wall, on the camera, or whether it's just something slightly below. What I wouldn't do is have something really low down, because if it's just right down here, what's going to do is it's just going to tilt you forward. You're going to end up rounding through the back, and it's going to just mess your balance position up a little bit. So something slightly diagonally in front of you. So if I might be looking at the third wise man here of Mr. Jacko's homemade kombucha. I might just be looking at that tap on the bottom. There's a nice bit of a diagonal focal point for me to focus on. Okay, so let's go for it. Basically, we're going to go control all the way down, and let's see if we can get ourselves back up. So thinking about I'm just going to go on this side. Thinking about I need to make sure that hip that it wants to close and flex. I've got to be trying to work hard to make sure that I'm keeping that back. So it might even be for a couple of reps here, just do a little bit of a stretch there before you go into that shape. Just encouraging, going. I need you to stay back behind me. Okay. So we'll go on the better side first. So I'm going to control down. I'm going to come all the way down to the floor, touch, and then come back up. Now you see on that side, that's my better side. I managed to keep that knee behind me a lot better than I do on this side. This I feel a bit tighter through here, and I struggle with the depth on this left side a little bit more. So I'm going to encourage you to stay back behind me. There, yes, something like that. Right, then I control down the knee, and then back up. Good. That felt good. And I'm telling you, this is the thing. When I train with you guys, because I want to make sure that I do it really well, training's better. So thank you. You make it better. Right, let's go to 3 on each side. You might now, you need to choose, or let's just see where you're at. Have a little feel. Okay? So control down, back up. Control down, touch. Back up, 1 more, control down, back up, on the side, load that front hip, down, back up, control down, load into the hip, down. That was a bit of a fall, Jacko. Control down, all the way this time, Jacko. Better. Nice. Good. So, what I want you to focus on is having a drink. No. What I want you to focus on, the danger is for you, if you can do it, then you're doing, and you just smashed it, and these are good for you. Great. It means that it proves that your hip flexors are in good shape, your ankles are in good shape, and your hip mobility and balance are all in good shape, and your single leg strength on one side to be able to get out of a deep position is in good shape. So it's like a nice tick box of like, yep, things are feeling pretty good. Now, for most of us, we're going to have come up at one point on that series that it's starting to feel like, this is a bit too difficult now. And you'll potentially focus on the things that you can't do. You go, oh, well, I only managed to do the first step. I can't do 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was, total number of steps. Whereas what I want you to focus on is the thing that you can do and get some work done in that position. So, as a good example, we started off with step 1 was, can you step out, lunge, and come back up? Well, if that was you, what I want you to do is I want you to get amazing at doing that. Once you get amazing at doing this, controlling, coming all the way down in a good shape, not in a bad shape or twist or whatever, and coming back up and controlling your balance. I want you to get really good at that. Once you're really good at that, you'll then move on to that next stage that we talked about of coming into this position. We're just going to go flat down, lean in and load up this leg, and stand up. And then you swap sides. And it might be that that's where you go, actually, I can get that to that today. Great, we'll focus on that. The next one was, can you get into that position, lift that back leg up, and then come up without the toes being on the floor. That was the third one. Yeah? And then the fourth one was, can you hold on to that back, leg and control down? The one after that was, can you do some partial range, holding it, and then you've got your fourth thing. So I want you to focus on the thing that you can do, rather than the other things that you can't. Okay? I'm going to have a go. I'm going to show you. I'm going to have a go. Right, the pied de resistance, and this is live, right? This may or may not work, depending on how good I've gone. But I'm going to show you what is it like for me to the next. So the next progression, rather than holding with one arm, is we hold with both. And then that just then means it's a lot more difficult to get into that position there and then drive back up. Oh, yes, did it. I won't show you this side because so that was hard for me. But that's me working hard at the sort of end range or end of my ability, but not too far that I can't do it. And so what I want you to do is find where you can go, and then we're going to do 5 reps on each leg together. Okay? So just have a little play. Find which one you think you could do 5 reps of those various different scenarios. If you want to have a go at the double, you can have a go at the double now with me. I'm going to try on the other leg. This is my bad one, so you're likely to see a nice fail on this. So here we go. This is my bad leg here, and I got up, but did you see what happened? That knee, boom, was driving forward. It's 2 things: the tightness on this side that it's having to come up, and then the strength on this hip to be able to be strong enough so that this side doesn't want to shoot forward. So it's not just the leg that's shooting forward, it's the strength on the standing leg too. Okay? So I've just proved there, for me to do that with good technique is I can't do 5 of those. So I'm not going to do the double hand one. I'm going to go back to my normal shrink squat, holding my leg. I want you in the next 30 seconds to choose which exercise you're going to do, variant you're going to do, and we're going to do 5 really good reps together. So whether that's just stepping in and stepping out, whether it's starting from the kneeling position, whichever one. But you choose the one that's relevant for you, and then we're going to do 5 on each leg together. Yeah, are we ready? Sims Joanne, big fat fail. Sims Joanne on Instagram. Was that with the double arm? So Caliceps has got the one-handed shrimp. Good. Yeah. So if you're losing, some people saying like losing balance before they get all the way down to the bottom. So work that might be that then you work through that partial range one. So don't go all the way down to the bottom. Work where you've got control. Ryan Huff, how you doing, Huffy? Hope you well, mate. Ryan, I used to play rugby with Ryan. I've seen you in years. Joanne Conwell has sent us a message recently about we'll make sure that we check that. we've been bombarded with messages recently, so but we are trying to make sure that we try to get back. We will get back to everyone, but sometimes it just takes a bit of time. Right, so pick your one. We're going to do 5 together. Yeah. So I'm going to go not double arm because that was going to be too difficult for me to do 5 with good technique. So one that you can do 5 with good technique on. Give yourself counterbalance down, so we can drop down. Back up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one side. We'll go to the other side. Work where you're at. You don't have to do the same one as me. If you're better than me, go for the double arm shrimp for 5. That's a good effort. Okay. Drop down. 1, 2. Looking at Mrs. Jacko's kombucha. 3. I say Mrs. Jacko, she makes it. I am obviously a lamb. And 5. Boom. There we go. So that was today's shrimp squat. Effectively a tutorial of progressions that you can work through. You've got a series of 5 different ones there that you can work towards. Again, just to emphasize, focus on the stage that you're at, get good at that stage, and then start to move on to the others. Use this as a tool to help you be motivated to be consistent around your training of your lower body and to sort out any sort of discrepancies you've got between left and right, between ankles and hips. If your body is, whilst you're doing a shrimp squat, your body is telling you something, it's giving you some feedback. It's either telling you, it's telling me my left hip is weaker, and it's telling me that my right ankle is tighter. And so that I then take that and use that feedback, and I use the shrimp squat as a marker of, am I improving this thing? So if I go away and do a little bit of work on my ankle, do a little bit of work on my left hip, and then I make sure that my shrimp squat is effectively like the test retest. And it's the reason I like doing them, and I want to get better at them, and therefore I'm going to work on those weaknesses and those restrictions that I've got. So that's the case for all of our training. Use the movements as goals, as little carrots, to make you want to carry on working on improving your basically your whole human movement system, your whole body, and listen to what it's telling you, and then use it to make those adjustments and those corrections. A couple of people asking about the lower body foundations program. So that covers lunge and squat, and how to make sure that you sort out your ankles and your calves for that lower portion, your knees, your hamstrings, your hip flexors, and your glutes for around your abductors, for around your hips, to clean up your squat, to clean up your lunge patterns that then let you progress on to more difficult stuff. So if you are like your shrimp squats, like your pistol squats, etc. So if you are looking for some help and a program to help you focus on being able to clear up what's going on down that lower body, we know that because of those kinetic chain principles, what's happening lower down the chain is going to affect what's happening higher up the chain. So if your hips are good, your core and your spine sat on top of that, and your shoulders that sat integrated with that, are then going to start to feel better as well. You get that lower body foundations as part of our standard membership. It's only $9.99 a month. We've got 50% off at the moment, so make sure you get that for $4.99. But you also get a 7-day free trial. So if you signed up today, you could try it for 7 days. You could work through a load of it's not designed for you to just do it, but this is potentially, you could just go for 7 days, just get as much of the information out of it as you can, and then you can cancel it, and then you're not going to get charged anything, then you can work through those things. But chances are you're going to enjoy the program, like there are thousands of people in there enjoying those programs and working through them systematically. But just to re-emphasize, there's a 7-day free trial, so you can test that out, and there's a 50% off your first membership at the moment, so you get it for just $4.99. So in the UK, we'll call that a no-brainer. So do check it out. There's also for lockdown, Bodyweight Basics is free, so that's one that's just free. So you can see, what's nice about that is you get to see what the programs and the layout and the structure of the online training platform, the virtual classroom, is like, and therefore you can get a taste for it. It wasn't a bicep workout, but something's pumping. Anyway, right. If we've got any other questions, then we will answer those for you before we sign off. Remember, we've got all these lives go on a playlist on our YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can see in playlists, you'll see like the follow along at home workouts. There's probably 35 of them in there now. So do check those out. Check out that free bodyweight basics and also the 7-day free trial in the virtual classroom. Thank you, JP Dolman, for following along. Thank you, Mark Bully. We've got a number of things to practice on there and some levels to work through, which is great. Great. One question about, so Cali Steps on Instagram, will shrimp require to have hamstring flexibility? Well, think about what the hamstring does on that back, on that back leg, it's in a shortened position. The knee is flexed, the hip is extended. Arguably, maybe if your hammies are super really tight, it's going to affect that front leg position. But it's something more like a pistol squat where that front leg is out in front of you, straight with the knee extended. That's going to challenge your hamstring flexibility more. Single leg Romanian deadlifts, those types of things are good for your hamstring flexibility as well. James 3112, thanks for joining. You're going to try and get the two-handed one before the end of lockdown. Nice. How did it go today with the double-hander? Paul tried it both on floor. So tried it on both tile floor and carpet. Tile is easier from a stability point of view. Yeah, so maybe just the surface is gonna change your balance. You got a little bit of the sensory information coming into your foot. Whether you're wearing trainers or not is going to make a big difference. Joking aside, whether you've got socks on or not is going to make a difference. Just make sure they're not white socks. Amelia on Instagram, one more set in the bag. So did another one, absolutely loved it. David Sermon, good tips for improving ankle dorsiflexion. Yeah, so mobilizing that actual ankle joint, and then also extensibility of your calf muscles. So making sure that we're taking care of those. That's completely covered in that lower body foundations program. So get in the virtual classroom, sign up for the membership, and try it out for 7 days, and you'll be able to go through all of those exercises and drills to help with your ankle dorsiflexion for sure. So for Mark Bully, struggling to lift myself out of the lunge with my feet. When that foot's in the air, it's just going to come down to the strength of that front leg, and then just how open that hip is on that back leg. So just keep working. I know what you mean, Mark. It's not that when we lift that foot up, we think, just lift up and just stand up. And actually, out of that lunge position, it's difficult. Make sure you are loading up that front leg, but it's going to then come down to the strength on that front leg to be able to stabilize the hips, so that you can come up and be strong and stable enough on that hip that you're on, so that the back hip doesn't need to try and shoot forward. So it's just going to take a little bit of time. Joe Who, we can't believe we just missed the live. So the live was at 11. There's one at 11 o'clock tomorrow with Coach Owen. I'm then back on Monday at 11 for core. So make sure that you don't miss any of these. They all go on YouTube later. So if you're on Instagram or Facebook, or you've joined YouTube late, you can watch them back on YouTube at any time. So go over to our YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe. Just search School of Calisthenics on YouTube, subscribe, and check out the playlist at home, follow on workouts. You'll see there's probably, I don't know, it's about 35 in there now. When does the 50% offer expire? Bev Fitness, so it ends, so we actually kept it open. It was going to be the end of April, but we've decided to keep it open to the end of lockdown. Because it's just like you, Bev, people asking for it to continue. So yeah, that is continuing to the end of lockdown, and we don't know when lockdown is yet in the UK, so it could be for a very long time. But yeah, I say jump with that. It's $4.99 for your first month, but you get 7 days free. So have a look in there, try it out for 7 days. If you've got some stuff, check out that lower body foundations one if you want some stuff to help with this. People like Paul H77 on Instagram there, he's a member of the virtual classroom. Ask ask any of these guys, like Paul, what do you think of it? Just put a comment in to give them some idea of what it's like. And you can hear it from people that are in there rather than just us telling you. Yeah, Paul on YouTube saying it needs strength training for both legs and the shrimp squat test parts. It doesn't normally get tested exactly. It's a different shape that you're not used to, and therefore it's good to do some of these different things. So Paul said it's brilliant resource, so much content in there. Great, and it's easy to follow, right? Yeah, Bev, cheers. Yeah, get in there, Bev. You've seen enough of our stuff now. It's if you've liked that much of our stuff, there's no way you're not going to like that more. Because rather than it being sort of live ad hoc stuff, we plan what we're going to do in our lives, but it's still it's a bit different when we're able to, in the virtual classroom, all those programs are all planned out systematically and tried and trusted way, and we base all of our training on exercise science that's proven to work, that we've done for many years as strength and conditioning coaches before we even started doing any type of calisthenics. Great question for Leah. Can I do pistol squat? In very short answer to that is because they're different. They're different requirements, and potentially the shrimp squat is exposing a weakness either in that front leg when you're loading up forward, rather than so potentially a bit more quads, rather than on your pistol squat, it's a little bit more glute dominant, and or as in it may be also or just of that back hip flexor, the hip flexor on that back leg is potentially going to be exposed. Great, lots of good questions from everyone today. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to get notifications for when all the lives are, we've got some more different ones coming up next week as well. The WhatsApp notification system is +44 7883 161 433. I'm just going to type that in for people and just send a WhatsApp message on WhatsApp. So +44 7883 161 433. Send that on WhatsApp, and then we can add you to those notifications. I'm just going to put it on the on Instagram as well. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you. Coach Owen will see you tomorrow for some full body conditioning, I believe, for tomorrow's session to finish our Friday strong. Take care and stay safe and healthy. Until next time, class dismissed.